YouTuber called Jake Munro, and he's been around for a while trying to do this. Let's see his intro, and then we'll talk about it. Cool, bro.
Men are under attack in this country, and at this point, it is absolutely undeniable.
He kind of sounds like Elon Musk. This is so cringe. Not the being goth part, which is fine, although, I mean, if you're a right-wing freak, you're not goth anymore. It's an aesthetic you've chosen. You may have seen this guy recently pop around, but you may have seen him before and not known it, or never heard of him. And these are his videos. This is what they look like. All of them look like this. He likes turtles. He definitely likes turtles. He does look like the I like turtles guy a little bit. That's true. And all of it, you know, titles like, What Happened to Women? Men Are Under Attack. How to Not Get Canceled. Make Goth Great Again. And other shit. So this has just recently been sort of a thing. But he's like making the same face. And you can see the slop thing that's kind of happening here. And the formula we're trying to get into, right? The views didn't really come until we start talking about politics. Goth girls have failed feminism, the only one to break 10K. So he starts seeing this goth girls are cliche in a graveyard. What the fuck? How can you even... So I think part of his thing is also like, he knows that it's going to make people annoyed, I guess, that he looks like the fucking actual Jared Leto Joker. And has these hot take opinions. So, like, being wrong and provocative is, like, the whole thing. But if you keep scrolling, like, this is within the year, 9 months ago, 10 months. He only makes a couple videos a month. If you keep scrolling, you start to see, like, oh, there's sort of, like, vlog things happening that aren't happening anymore. Am I conservative now? Make America Great Again hat. The only thing that pops. He gets cringier and cringier. It actually, like... No wonder he wears the face paint. It looks better when he covers it because he starts to look like a Simple Plan band member. And you start to see what happens as you just continue to scroll. He's been trying to break in for years and years and years. And he found that if he paints his face, he gets, you know, it'll be more provocative, so he'll get more clicks, right? But this isn't how it used to be. He found this. He chose this particular thing specifically because he could do like the character. Like, you may have seen him pop up a few times. Like, he goes through waves. Big TikTok era. A lot of old videos. It keeps going. We're going to keep going. And look, it's an entire put on. You get lower, and it's just a guy's vlog channel. Exciting new things. Vlog. How I got into metal. So I'm wondering if upon further inspection, like, where does he decide he wants to be the cringiest fucking possible individual? Because it's always kind of been there, obviously. Like, the cringe only increases. Like, look at these rage bait titles he's trying so hard. What the heck is this? Nearly broke something. Stopped by the police. Can't believe I'm here. I'm so mad. What's my fucking Hogwarts house? Good God, 8 years ago. We're dealing with foundational amounts of cringe. So anyway, this is a person that's been trying to do this for a long time and found out that if essentially, and this is what happens to a lot of them, you find out that you can rage bait, and if you rage bait, you might get clicks. And so finally, I've been beckoned. It's primordial cringe. Oh, yeah. I bet he was a Slytherin.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Jake Munro. This is the Jake Munro Show. And today I'm going to be talking about the fact that the UK...
Talking about... What is the accent? I got to know. What's going on there?
Britain is attacking white men.
How?
Because, of course, they are. You watched my last video. You watched the alt-right pipeline.
Dude, is this Elon Musk's son who eats cheeseburgers and milk real good? Maybe that's what's going on. Because maybe that's where the accent comes from. He has the accent of Elon Musk's son who eats cheeseburgers and milk real good.
You instead watched me define how the alt-left pipeline is far more likely to be for nefarious means. How that should be attacked, dismantled entirely.
Dismantle the leftist belief system entirely. All right, here's the leftist argument. Human beings have needs. We should they should, if they are met, you have better quality of life, less strife. Nefarious, dude. So nefarious. I want you to have health care and education and housing. Fucking piece of shit. It's way better and less nefarious to think that everybody should struggle and there should be a very strict hierarchy based on who can collect the most coins.
I've explained how men are under attack and like throughout all of Western culture, Western civilization.
Let's do it.
It's undeniable. At this point, it is observable, but now we all know that the left have they've gone mask off, haven't they? They're no longer interested in hiding their vindictive, nefarious ways.
Very specific claims, sir. I'm shaken to my very core of my beliefs. Vague accusations of nefarity. Is that a word? Nefariousness? I feel like nefarity sounds better.
They're no longer pretending to be the good guys, they're not even trying. But as long as we remain the bad guys, they can do whatever they want.
Who's doing whatever they want? If the leftists were out here doing whatever they want, Donald Trump would not be in charge of anything. I don't know what. What are you talking about?
Acting that way. Anyway, specifically, how are men being attacked in Britain?
Please. I guess specifically in Britain. We can't talk about anything else.
To do that, to answer that question, we're going to have to go back.
So specifically, we're not going to answer anything specifically? Sick, dude. I'm so fucking glad we're here.
There was a show created called Adolescence.
Oh, the Netflix show? This is his most recent video.
It portrayed a white boy doing his best to maintain the most villainous expression on his face.
The show Adolescence? I don't think that's true. This kid was a great actor in this series, though. Super worth your time. This isn't saying that all boys or whatever are bad. It's saying that a boy you think is normal can be bad. And so, like, how and like dealing with that from different aspects of society and trying to understand how it works. Like, it's just talking about young men. And I think it's, as a young man, it resonated. A young man, as a formerly young man.
Doing his best at the director's advice to try and portray white young boys as evil as possible.
There are non-evil white young boys throughout this show. There was like one, you call him evil or whatever. I mean, just one misled, fucked up kid. They talk about the reasons. They talk about how people play a role. They talk about how it goes down. It's not an insensitive take. And if you're a fucking little guy, like a little white guy, you should not feel personally upset by this. It's not about you. If you're personally upset by this, you have no fucking dignity. You are deeply insecure if Adolescence made you upset. Or if really any media makes you upset with their portrayal of men as some... If any man is a bad guy, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're just a fucking pussy. Have you thought of that? Because that's what I'm experiencing. The right wing has spent a lot of time and energy telling me the blue-haired SJWs are the big pussies that are always whining about everything, yet this is the only content they ever make. I've never seen right-wing art with any positivity to it. None. It doesn't exist. At best, you got to go to the fucking 90s for like, what is that fucking animated movie? The Prince of Egypt? I think that's the best. You call it right-wing because it's religious, but I think like, I don't even know if it's really a right-wing message.
Can you give us an evil face, Timmy? I don't know what his name was. Can you give us an evil look, an expression? More evil. No, more evil. Can you know what? Can someone take this kid and give him like evil expression training? I want this white boy to really sell that he's evil, that he's bad.
That's not even it. Like, it portrayed like young male aggression, insecurity, and that sort of like trying to get out of trouble, conniving way that, you know, people get when they're trying to get out of trouble. So like, it was all those things. And it also, like, the young actor is incredible. I don't remember what his name is, but he's very incredible.
Now, this was made by a dude, this guy.
Stephen Graham, an excellent actor as well. Excellent.
He was inspired to write this show
He
about
plays the father in this show, by the way.
a white boy stabbing
In Great Britain?
a girl because he was inspired
One of the white boys in the show definitely is guilty of stabbing one of the kids.
to do so by things like red pill, like online red pill content creators. I'm assuming. I've not watched this shit, okay? I have better things to do with my life than waste my time watching this garbage. However, I do know that I spend a lot of time cultivating the specific audiences of these people. It has been calculated for years, as you can see, with my general drift into right-wing slop. But what inspired this idiot to make this was he saw on the news that knife crime, you probably already know where I'm going with this, knife crime is way up. And women are being stabbed by young boys. Yeah.
And so he's gonna be like, I'm racist.
No, they're not white.
Oh man, well.
Before you ask.
This is absolutely like pulling teeth. Both this video and the guy in chat. Pulling teeth. Right-wingers do not have the confidence to just say with their chest what they mean. They don't have the ability to communicate clearly. They don't have the ability to have conversations and exchange criticisms in a thoughtful way. All they can do is be emotional and fucking whine. These are guys that would tell you that they're not small-minded, that they're free thinkers, and they just wallow in idiocy instead. Like, you just watch them squirm.
By the way, I'm not fucking sad.
A show about a little guy that harms someone is not about a race issue. I don't know. I guess you made sensitive because he's just white, but the writer is white. It's a British show. Whose perspective is he going to give?
Per thousand, actually, you're far more likely to be stabbed by a black dude. A young black man, actually. In fact, they're more likely to stab each other.
Oh, they're more likely to stab each other? Dude, I can't believe populations that live close to one another commit crimes against one another more often. That's so weird. Well, there's no explainable reason.
Stab white dudes and then stab white women.
So they get two. So the average non-white male in Great Britain, of course, in this argument is stabbing each other at first, and then once they level up, they stab elsewhere. Multiple stabbings.
So these statistics don't lend themselves very well to the creation of this show, but the creator of this show saw that women were being stabbed or that a woman had been stabbed and decided, like, why? Why is this happening, he says. Can you believe this? He was like, why is this happening? And then he decided to make a show about it where it's a white boy that did it, which is statistically very unlikely.
It seems as though you think that being non-white makes you do crime? Why? What is the explanation? Of course, a racist just goes, "'Cause that's how it works." With okay, so if we are just taking violent crime rates in general as an operative way to diagnose someone's inherent character from a broad racial lens, then white people will, of course, historically be the most barbaric group of people in human history. It's not even close. So why would you do that if the point you want to make is any person within a racial group committing violence leads to the argument being that it is inherently violent to be this kind of person? Like, why would you want to do that when the math bears out that white people are more violent than the others? Is it just because he disassociates between the violence that white people do when they have institutional power to do so versus the more often you're going to have non-white people in these countries have non-institutional power when they commit violence? So if an institution does it, totally fine, normalized, good, non-violence. They also do it, interpersonally as well at plenty high rates. In fact, white White Christian males are the number one perpetrator of sexual abuse across these states and countries. White people who commit violence with injury are 26 times the amount of black people who commit violence with injury. Oh, whoa. Despite being only blankety blank percent of the population, white people commit violence at a higher rate than...
Compared to other statistics and other ethnicities,
I wonder why he just flashed them on screen very quickly.
More likely to do it, based on per thousand. And not only that, decided to shoehorn in the red pill online social media sort of, the toxic environment that young boys tend to apparently cultivate whenever they chat online. Misogyny.
Misogyny. Not real? I guess misogyny can't be real, because if we agree that it's real, then I'm not anti-woke enough. Easily understandable social phenomenon of sexism and misogyny. We can't just observe reality. We have to bend around it, because then it'll feel bad if the wokes... If I agree with any aspect of a woke argument, then I am a pussy and gay. And this is how a lot of them think. They have cornered themselves into such an anti-science, anti-intellectual, and anti-social position with every one of their right-wing beliefs that they cannot stay tenable with like how society actually works. You have to just pretend whole problems aren't, which only, of course, exacerbates them.
And in typical Netflix fashion, they decided to race swap the kid. Race swap from what, Jake? I'm glad you asked that question. Because one of the most egregious crimes, one of the most despicable things to happen here in the UK, one of the most telling events that happened in the UK, telling of the kind of...
Wow, can we just fucking go? Holy shit. Fucking driving a golf cart down the highway, man. Can we get to the point?
Environment and the kind of climate we have here in the UK now in regards to the kinds of people that comprise the population. It was this guy. Now, this criminal, and his 3 victims here, they were never explicitly said as being the reason why he made this.
So I made up that this was what inspired the fucking show. There's never been an example of a white kid killing anybody. Never happens. Don't look it up. Please don't look it up. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
But this went huge.
This went huge because the person accused of this crime is black and doesn't look white enough. And so it's bigger news because of racism. This is no more or less heinous than any white man's crime with the same shit. Both are contemptible and bad and evil, and both have social causes, both have societal ills, both have personal mental health problems. You know what I mean? Like, this does not negate anything that a white person does, nor does it mean that a black person is more inherently criminal. Like, I don't know why racism is so easy to fall into. It just seems so antithetical to logical thought. But it's just, it just works on people. You just go, well, look at him. He's different, and he killed someone. A to B. Don't you see it? People are so stupid. We're dumb. We are dumb fucking animals on this rock, and we treat each other poorly. Instead of understanding why this happened, we're just going to be like, oh, it must be because he's black, which is just obviously not the fucking case.
This was a big deal. Specifically because the guy that made it was inspired by girls being stabbed by boys, which is a deliberately obtuse and dense approach to what the real problem is.
Well, so the real problem is, of course, dehumanizing the victims of these crimes and obfuscating the culpability of the systems that cause them. But instead, you focus on like non-issues like race that have nothing to do with the cause of any of these crimes. You just get sensitive for clicks. Also, can we talk about how conscious he has to be and maintain himself on trying to make sure I'm steepling my fingers? He did this thing at the beginning where he did the big stretch. Dude, guys will do this stuff. I don't know if you are familiar with this, but there is a male nonchalance, but also display of manliness where a guy, there's a thing that happens. I don't know how to describe it, and I think only if you are a dude who's a bro will you know what I'm talking about, where there's a fakeness to a guy who walks into a room and like pretends stretches performative masculinity. It's not a joke. I'm at 7:31. Let me show you. It's cool. Consistently a thing I see in guys like this. You see it with that incel guy we did before. That, hey, bro, I'm just saying, bro. Like, man, women are the problem, bro. They all do it. They have to adopt certain mannerisms. They'll try to, stay big, keep frame. Look at this kind of stuff. Those are manly moves. Those are manly things that we can do. Manly gestures. Everything about this guy's performative. It's tough. It's tough to watch. And he's very slow. This could have been a fucking 8-minute video.
Now I could stand here and go through yet more statistics like these, explaining
arrest rate. Dude, people cannot think. This is black other, by the way. I don't even know what that fucking means. To argue that, look we don't live in a racist country. We're actually being overrun by fucking, brown people from other countries. And then you arrest them at higher rates. Do you think that this could lead to any social destabilization as you over-police these groups of people who we all know, this is not conviction rate. The statistics bear out throughout the world. The only correlation that you have with this kind of thing, there's two, and it really is two: poverty and like density of population, and really three. If you have a right-wing ideology, you're much more high chance of committing violence against children sexually, women, and like your spouses and partners, and other people within your community with guns and knives and things like that in order to harm. That crime was called the Southport stabbings, or some version of that. They happened in late July 2024. Adolescence came out in March 2025. Oh, so it was already well into production. Clown Shoes here doesn't even know how long it takes to get his show off the ground. Absolutely not. What is
We're going to be talking about how men are under attack with a little.
Please do. That would be okay. We're 8 minutes into the fucking preamble. Let's go.
A little bit of racism. Or just noticing facts, which tend to be the same thing these days. Racism, noticing facts, reading statistics, these things tend to all be the same these days. So,
a virtue signal of a guy who is not capable of parsing these things.
Adolescence was released, and in typical Netflix fashion, the race swapping happened from this dude to this kid.
Yeah, written before the first person that you showed was found to have committed any crime.
And how else was Netflix going to pick this up? Wasn't going to be any other way. Wasn't going to be accurate, was it? So, of course, this had to happen in order for his show to be picked up. And then,
you mean there's never been a show where a black person has been the killer? There's never been a show where the black guy was the bad guy? Ever? Does this guy always dress up like a Peaky Blinders Joker? Yes.
And then the UK government, they loved it. They loved it. They loved it. They loved it so much. They couldn't get enough. We have a Netflix show that conveys perfectly the kind of thing that we're trying to get across here in the UK government.
So the argument is that it wasn't actually the woke Netflix or the writer of the show or the actors involved. It was the UK government.
Excuse me, idiot director of this show. Could we use this in our schools?
What happens if I make this 2 times speed? Is it still legible?
Could we show it to young boys, please? Now you might be thinking, optimistically, no, this is a terrible thing to show young boys in school. Giving them a persecution complex immediately? Influencing young boys into thinking that society hates them because they're at any point going to randomly stab a bunch of young girls for no reason?
Did you watch the show? It definitely wasn't for no reason. You should watch the show. He sounds even more like Elon now. Yeah, it's definitely better. This is bearable to some extent.
Optimistically, you might be thinking, the answer is no, we're not going to do that. Why would we do that? They did that, and now they are showing adolescents across the nation to young boys to try and scare the fuck out of them to not, stab little girls.
So it would be woke for the effect of this show to reduce stabbings? Like, I don't know if that's any violence is the message. It's not about stabbings or whatever. It's just about having experienced violence at the hands of young men who are, having been a young men are violent. We're definitely prone to, hitting each other people. And if that's not channeled correctly, it can be quite violent. You guys went to school? You guys never saw one fight? Who was it between? Yeah, it happens, but it's usually the guys. And there's a reason behind that. We socialize poorly, man. We're not taught to handle anything like that. And we're taught that the only emotions that are manly to access are anger, griping, laughing, I guess.
Well, because the demographic that are actually stabbing people, and in high enough amounts for you to make a show about it, are also male. You think this is a male problem? It's all men? It's an all-male problem? This just popped up out of nowhere?
No, violence in general is a problem, I guess, but it's 95% men that are convicted of violent crimes, probably more. So, yes, I guess it's a problem. Definitely men are a problem that we should handle. We should probably take into consideration the problems we have. It would be good to address them clear-eyed without coping. Why is it upsetting to I thought men were supposed to be personal responsibility, self-betterment, becoming some alpha Chad, and you can't even fucking address your emotional outbursts? You can't even form a cogent thought and make an argument? You can't do it without becoming mad and angry and flipping out, coping out of your fucking head?
Yeah, the huge influx of immigration and non-whites invading England exponentially over the last couple of decades. You don't think that has anything to do with this increase in violent crime with knives?
So men are a problem everywhere. It's not an immigrant. Why is everything just, an immigrant did it? It must have been an immigrant. We can never look the fuck inward. If we do, it's too scary. It's too fucking scary for a right winger to self-express without this sort of veneer, this facade.
It's just suddenly coming out of nowhere and Andrew Tate's responsible for it? This is how they think. And this is also what white men are thinking. This is what young white boys are thinking. Miss, can I go? I shouldn't be here. I have no intention of stabbing people. In fact, statistically speaking, I'm nowhere near as likely to stab people or women, not as much as Rudy Cabana. Can I go? No.
UK violent crimes went from 3.3 million to 600K from 1995 to 2005. That's a 5,400% decrease. So it looks like the influx of immigration has lowered crime, actually. That's crazy. The height of knife crimes was in 2020. It went down drastically in 2021, and now it's back on the rise to 2020 levels. I wonder why. I wonder if it has anything to do with destabilization. Nah, it's probably not economic strife. It's probably just racist stuff. It couldn't possibly be the material effects around us. It couldn't possibly be genocides abound, wealth disparity, lack of access to basic human needs and rights. Nah. Ignore it.
No, because to acknowledge the fact that statistically speaking, you're less likely to do a violent crime would be racist, so we have to lump you all in here, even though you're nowhere near as likely to do that. And this is unfair. We're painting you all with the same brush, but you're all in here.
How can you be it's all the black people's problems, and it isn't fair that you paint all us white people with the same brush? I think maybe just climb in the coffin you got out of this morning and stay in there. Let's stay the fuck in there. Let's find the fucking wooden stake. Let's get the garlic, bury it deep. There's no reason to keep this undead creature alive.
White British men being attacked because of the actions of invaders.
You're a fucking invader.
Because you're both men, must be the same. How dense. I want you to imagine, I want you to think, what kind of complex would this give a kid? Young girls are just you're doing great, sweetie, you're so amazing, you can be literally anything and everything you want to be, and you'll probably be better than a boy at doing this thing. You're amazing, you're great, I'm going to pick you first, you're going to have this position above these boys, and you're going to do fantastic. That's all women here. That's all women here these days.
Really? You think all women hear is you're going to be better than all the boys, and they never hear any negative stuff ever? It sounds like you wish you were a girl then or something. Like, I mean, if they have it so good, why stay? Why remain? I don't think women experience just constant praise and nothing bad ever. I think maybe this is a lie. Surely no woman has an example of being mistreated for the sake of being a woman.
You don't have to give birth to kids. You don't have to uphold your side of the...
You don't have to give birth to kids. Of course not. Why would anyone have to? You don't have to birth kids. Should we force your dumb ass to fucking birth kids for some reason? We can impregnate men nowadays. Force impregnate every fucking one of these guys. Pull them first and then be like, oh, did you know that, by the way, the penalty for this is forced impregnation? We got to get those population numbers up.
Bargain your responsibilities to society. Men do. You, however, sweetie, don't need to do anything that society requires you to do in order for society to continue. You can go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want in any capacity that you like, and you're strong and you're brave and you're... And you can do...
Okay, but this is true of men as well. We get to go... We don't... Like, I don't know what you're saying. Men have to act a certain way. Doesn't do that. Literally has not... Like, this guy isn't... He's painting his face and making YouTube videos and pretending to be some kind of manosphere influencer or whatever, instead of like going into the factory or joining the armed forces and dying in an oil war or something. He's alive and just yapping. I don't understand. Everyone gets to do whatever they want. Yeah, send this guy to Iran immediately.
Whatever you like, right? That's women. That's girls these days. Girls, that's what girls get. Okay, in media, in schools, everything. That is what women. That's what young women are saying.
Dude, you seem so fucking jealous of women. Why? That is such a weird position. As a man, it would be embarrassing for me to be like, yes, women really have it better than me. I am jealous and angry of these women for having it so much better than me. I couldn't possibly have that little dignity, I guess.
However, I want you to imagine the other side of the coin, which is young boys now being degraded.
Are young boys being degraded? By who? The wokes who are saying, hey man, you can do whatever you want. Be kind to people. Be nice. Treat yourself with respect. Be happy. Seek joy. The guys who are upset about this are the right-wingers. Left-wing men are not having the same problems as right-wing men right now.
Constantly being reminded that they are a potential predator, a potential criminal, and they have an innate sense of violence.
Okay, listen to the things you just said. It would be bad to imply that someone is innately violent, criminal, or bad. Okay? It's bad to do those things, but we do it to black people, and that's okay? We do it to Muslims or whatever the fuck you're intimating? So you agree that the practice of blanketing one group for the crimes of an individual are bad and makes people feel bad. Any introspection? None whatsoever, I guess. I heard crime stats tell us the truth. Oh, whoa. Okay, so let's look at violent crime stats. How many women are on there? Whoa. I don't like that you're implying that this is a problem for all men across races. I don't fucking like that.
And at any point, they could snap, and they're going to be on the front news, headlines, that kind of stuff. You killed a bunch of people. And even if you don't, everyone around you is going to be afraid that you're gonna. Yeah? Women are going to be afraid of you all the time. Everyone in society is going to be afraid of you. You're always going to be seen as a potential criminal, a potential misogynist. Your potential is constantly and always being viewed as you're going to do something offensive or violent at any point, regardless of their intentions.
Are you projecting because people are like identifying you as different than them when you walk around or something? Yeah, I don't find women being generally scared of me, particularly once they get to know me a little. Like, I could understand how just in day-to-day, if you just are like a little wary of men in general, which I think even just everybody is. I think if you walk into a place and there are just men around of any race, of any style, there is a bit of a taking stock of them to see what their vibe is. Not like a full threat assessment or anything, but I think in any case, it's like, oh, what's that guy about? It's not like Jason Bourne levels of fucking activity here, but I think there's a vibe check. I don't do that as much with women because it's less likely that they're going to be what you're describing, which is a violent criminal, because most violent criminals are male. That's one of the only things that really bears out in this. Jake is so scary, he's always howling at the moon and hiding in bushes. That's true. I could be outside right now. Subscribe immediately to keep me at bay or to get out of this video.
Imagine a young boy being told this. What do you think the behavior is going to be? Now, I've already done a video about the alt-right pipeline. Congratulations, leftists. There's another way that you've just gone ahead and created that by yourselves.
Good job, you created the alt-right pipeline. Do you not like the alt-right pipeline? Do you think it's bad or something? Why or why not? Why would this guy think that MAGA is bad but also good because he likes it? Or are you just saying, ha, you lose, leftists? He's honestly pretty vague in general. I think he's just trying to hit these buttons to try to get the clicks. These videos are too fucking long for that, though. Like, I'm sure sometimes this works out and he hits the algorithm, but I don't think the watch time, I don't think the retention rate on these videos is very high.
Leftists try so hard to make sure that, young boys don't find their way to the alt-right pipeline. Ironically, then makes them go into it.
Do they try so hard? I think young boys are going to do what they're going to do, man. And the only way to ensure their quality behavior is to educate them properly. I'm not going to be able to do much. I'm not going out here. I'm myself. I'm not out here trying to be like, hey, fellow kids, why don't we go talk about how politics, politics need to be talked about. Like, what fucking child is into that? This guy's been talking for 50 minutes. He said absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah. It's pretty bad.
I'm just using the alt-right pipeline as the pseudonym, as the misnomer that they've assigned to it, because obviously it's that concept I'm describing. If I called it its actual thing, then people won't realize I'm referring to this construct that leftists made called the alt-right pipeline. Of course, what I mean is just men waking the fuck up, getting red-pilled, realizing their self-worth, discovering masculinity, that kind of stuff.
So the alt-right pipeline is good, and you think that the left attacks masculinity, which is weird. I don't think they... Do leftists make you can't be a man content? Who's the biggest you can't be a man content creator? I think pretty much every leftist is like unbothered by people who are men. Most of us men who are leftists are just dudes. We're just regular dudes. There's nothing really special going on here from your identity politics worldview. I guess being a little educated has provided me with the context necessary to understand the world as it exists rather than the world that I profess exists, which is definitely what the right wing wants to do. They profess these are the problems. They're not the problems. Problems persist because there's no solutions in their worldview.
Schools are now being infiltrated by something called misogyny classes. Yeah.
Misogyny classes?
Misogyny classes are being taught to young boys in order to make them aware.
I like the branding of misogyny classes. Boys to be sent on courses to tackle misogyny in schools. This is pretty sparse information, and you're calling them misogyny classes. It sounds just like misogyny is going to be added to the understanding of curriculum. I think it's very good for everybody to understand not just misogyny, but any sort of like social ill so that you can understand and be educated on it. I don't know why this would be bad at all. Misogyny, here it is. Here's what this is. Having inherently, or I guess having negative opinions about someone based on their inherent sex or whatever is bad. Or I guess gender expression, because trans people experience misogyny too.
Make them aware of their innate, intrinsic nature to want to be nasty and misogynistic and violent and abusive to women.
Why do you think that explaining that misogyny exists in the systems that cause it and the socialization that causes it means that we're inherently misogynistic? That's not the leftist position. The leftist position is that we are socialized to be misogynistic and it's not natural. It is just a way that men have tried to artificially enforce hierarchy over women, which is this thing that you already did in this video when you're like strongly implying that women ought to be mothers and ought to be subservient to men and provide men with children and offspring because that is their specific role in society or whatever, and men are supposed to do all the other stuff. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. What if woman does not want to do that? She gets to do whatever she wants. This is bad to him for some reason. Why? I don't know, because the grift demands he take that position.
British men are about to be the most rebellious anti-feminists we've ever seen, and we have leftists to thank for it. Okay. Don't we? They are trying so hard, too hard, to push men down, put them in a box, so that all these commies and women can go ahead and destroy everything. Because again, like I said in my last video, the only thing that stands between these commies and these narcissistic women and destroying everything we know and love, the only thing that stands between them and that are white men.
Don't say that. People will take the wrong idea and be like, well, then let's get rid of them boys, you know? Whoa. That's not true, guys. Don't listen to that guy. It's kind of true. White people in general are a coalition that try to maintain their hegemony and their artificial systems of hierarchy. So he would hate to see this flatten out for reasons that are unexplainable. I don't know. He just has a distaste for some kind of different form of hierarchy that doesn't involve being at the top of it based on whiteness.
Which is why they're being attacked so horrendously. And they can't just go ahead and make these classes just for black boys, because that's racist.
Well, yeah, white boys do misogyny too. It's good for everybody to get educated. It's specifically not just a black guy problem. that misogyny exists. I don't know. It would be racist and not helpful to only educate black men in this regard. You would have a bunch of thoughtful black chads walking around being nice and respectful to women and defending them from white assailants every day. And they'd be like, why don't any women want to date us? Our cuck fantasies are coming to life. I can't believe my racism is being reinforced by my direct actions. They'd get mad at all the women that would date them. Yeah. What the fuck? You just one generation from now, all your babies would be mixed. And you'd be like, what the fuck, dude?
That would be racist if we did that. Even though it's actually addressing the problem. That would be racist. We are about
Dude, fucking solid argument. I don't think this guy could handle a conversation either.
to go through one of the greatest Renaissance periods
Renaissance. Let's go.
in history, where the word racism is going to be used in a comedic tone. Much like I just used it.
Oh, so when you did the voice, that was comedy? Oh, not for the reason you thought it was. I'm sorry. Dude, right-wing men are all so special.
Racism is, every time you hear someone use the word racism, unironically, the whole room will erupt in laughter.
Yeah, I just don't think so. Like, racism, it's a real thing. It's a real phenomenon. We could trace it back to pretty obvious problems in the human animal's brain and psyche, and then therefore the socialization after. We have a knee-jerk amygdala reaction towards people and things that feel different, and it takes a little bit of a second to acclimate because we're just little guys that don't really know stuff very good. And then if you get dummies teaching that to their kids that it's correct to do, that your weird fucking fear response is true, well, then you're just a dumbass, and now you're a racist freak, and you're just scared all the time, and that's pretty much it. They've done studies on right-wingers and racists. Their amygdalas are bigger than everybody else's, which is the center of your, like, fight-or-flight response, and so they have more anxiety about this. They worry about violence from other people all the time, and they fantasize about violence from other people all the time that don't look like them. Of course, ending up being the perpetrators of violence more often than they're not.
We're about to reject the concept of racism so hard.
How do you even reject the concept of racism? The definition of racism is making a quality judgment on someone's character based upon racial characteristics. And that's just true of you. The concept's not even true, and they're going to laugh about it. What? I mean, no. Just being wrong real loud. If I just profess it enough, maybe I'll fucking be right finally. Not going to happen. Right-wing men will not win this just by exclaiming it loudly. Actually, all this racism I'm doing isn't actually true. This social phenomenon where I denigrate someone based on their race is definitely not going to come back at me in social response. Surely this will just be taken lying down. I don't understand why you think if we just deny it, it's true.
You can't push white European men around this hard and not expect this to bite you in the ass harder than you've ever been bitten in your life.
Bunch of ass-biting whiteys out there. Oi, mate! Hello, governor! Chewing on motherfuckers' butt cheeks. Bunch of feral white boys skittering around the UK. Fucking splash around, looking for fish and chips in all the wrong places.
Being white kids, children, white boys, young boys, being instilled with a persecution complex, with a victim complex, with this complex of self-hatred. They're going to hate themselves.
I don't know any woke left-wing individual that hates themselves for being white. I've never met this self-hating white. The best example I've ever seen is like boomer liberals doing like a performative thing that I find still racist. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's not racism. I think you're being weird still. But like, I've only seen small group, like 6 or 7 of them do that.
More boys in therapy than there's ever been. But the British government, they're ecstatic, rubbing their hands together and licking their grinning lips, flushed in the face they were with the arousal at this opportunity that adolescence had provided.
So you're the only guy in this room talking about adolescence and arousal at the same time. Nobody else has been talking about it like that. You are the guy doing that.
Put that in schools. Kids can watch that now. Young boys, they're making them watch that now. They've got the misogyny classes now because of abuse.
They're making them watch Netflix's original fucking limited series Adolescence, a 4-episode spectacular.
This is once again another attack. This is another active effort by the UK government to make sure that young boys are steering clear of things like red pill content. People like Andrew Tate and Fuentes and all those other lads that are trying to give men a sense of value back again.
Sex trafficker, incel, guy who nobody likes. A sense of purpose. Okay, go ahead and tell me what your sense of purpose is. My sense of purpose is being a white man. Cool. Well, mission accomplished. Anything else on the docket? Nope, that's it. I'm no reason that you have an unfulfilling life and you're mad all the time. So dumb. There's no merit in any of this.
They're trying so hard to make sure they demonize these online red pill spaces so that young boys do not fall into it. Any boy with...
Do you feel demonized? Like, people making fun of your dumb ass is not being demonized. This guy is such a whiny bitch. Ugh. He's so like, I'm the fucking victim, dude. Very Elon Musk cheeseburger milk boy. I think that's who he is.
The sense of common sense should be able to read between the lines as to why they're doing this. When the government is really trying to tell you not to do something, you should probably be doing it.
This is a tough position for a guy like me who don't like the government. So that's a genetic fallacy that is not necessarily true. There are definitely laws on the books that should stick around. You know? Maybe Jeffrey Epstein should have listened to a few more laws, for instance. Maybe we don't just throw out the baby with the bathwater on that.
Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha's coming up after Zoomers. Gen Alpha are coming. They're the iPad kids. They're the brain rot kids. We had to watch adolescence in school kids. We had misogyny training.
I was forced to watch Band of Brothers, and so that's why I'm a conservative Republican now.
In school kids. They're going to be those kids. And I think Gen Alpha probably is going to be the most appropriate label for that generation, the most appropriate name for that generation, because they are going to be absolute tyrants. The good kind. I'm talking like...
Alphas. Generation Alpha is going to be filled with alphas. Dude, those kids can't look us in the eye. I don't know. These kids can't fucking look at me. I would be so happy if there was a group of outgoing young people that were coming out. I feel like they all have social anxiety, though, and they live in uncertain times, which doesn't make it any better. I think the best thing that we can do as like elder millennials, as we usher in the new world and we become the people that are in charge after the boomers eventually die out, is we need to just help people be better. I don't know. It'll take time, and maybe we won't succeed 100%. But boy, do we need a return to some kind of dignity, I guess. Because like what young men don't have from a red-pilled perspective is any sort of fucking dignity. They're whiny, excuse-making, fucking insecure dorks instead of like the awesome people they could be.
Space Marines, Warhammer, that kind of thing. I don't know if I use that reference. But yeah, they're gonna reclaim everything. They're gonna be like, yeah, we were told a little too hard not to live up to our masculine potential. So we decided to do the complete opposite. No, women love
masculine potential even mean
this because now they no longer have to be accountable for anything. They can just act despicable, deplorable at all times. And men are...
All women act despicable and deplorable at all times? Do you hear yourself? Like, you're terrified. Why are you like this? You have no fucking personal security whatsoever.
Terrified to call it out, to say anything about it.
You hear yourself?
So they just get to continue doing what they're doing, exactly how they want to do it. Women get to do whatever they want. Literally everything but what their responsibility is to society.
Everything but have babies? That's their responsibility to society? I guess eat shit? Eat shit. People get to do whatever they want.
And do the shitty jobs. Women raise the kids. How do you think we bounced back so hard from World War II? We survived.
Who's we bouncing back so hard from World War II? Great Britain?
After World War II, we thrived, we flourished after World War II. We had a baby boom after World War II because...
A baby boom after World War II. Because of, like, going to war and coming back and then not having any birth control?
Of things like traditional values. Do you think this would happen today? Do you think if there was a World War III where a shit ton of men were killed in their millions, and now that more women serve in the military, women too, though I doubt they'd actually follow through with this assertion that they want to fight on the front lines if they're presented with an actual war. I can imagine they would. World War III ends, what remains of men go back to their country, and the birth rate continues to be the same that it is now, which is below maintenance. There's no baby boom, the dwindling numbers of men, and this...
Below maintenance? Like, what are you fucking worried about? Yeah, I mean, we're just going to have the amount of people we fucking have. You can't force people to have babies they don't want. You would have higher, more sustainable birth rates if you had people's needs met. It would be more likely for someone to make babies in a situation where they thought they had security for that baby. But it's impossible for you to listen to people on this subject.
Arrogant remaining population of women still far more interested in pursuing things like pointless careers, listening, working for a boss, going to Zoom.
Working for a boss? You literally are a cuck for MAGA, man. You're like, oh yeah, bosses, you clap like a seal every time a billionaire fires guys. Work for a boss? Well, how? This is capitalism, baby. How else are they gonna fucking work? So communism bad, capitalism bad. This guy's not working for anybody. He's just standing in the room.
meetings and stuff like this. Zoom meetings and more Zoom meetings and more Zoom meetings about who cares? Who cares? Society was completely fine before a shit ton of feminists started going into the workforce and doing Zoom meetings all day. We were.
Why do you think it's feminists making the Zoom meetings? The feminists are not in charge of the corporations. Why are you pretending that that's the case?
Fine, okay? In fact, I think we were better, economically speaking. And societally speaking, we were
never even been in these meetings. Why are you pretending?
still better. We were better. Everything was better. There was not.
Everything was better when Democrats were in charge. You know, it was really good in the 90s and 2000s when we had a more liberal, progressive, well, not even progressive, when liberal democracy was in its heyday, we didn't descend down this fascist rabbit hole. It was way better back then. Yeah, I agree, dude.
This screaming vacuum in society for women to shirk, to ignore their responsibilities to society, their responsibilities to Western culture, their responsibilities to their race. And
to the race, Western culture, and society. It just sounds like you don't have nuts that are capable of producing offspring, and you're making that other people's problems.
enter the workforce and value things like promotions over, raising a child, teaching them, playing with them, taking them to school, going through.
Do you have a kid? Do you do these things? I don't see him doing that. I see him in this room.
Homework, which feminists have managed to convince everybody are bad things. Yeah. Going to a job.
Feminists say homework is bad. Everything that he doesn't like is feminists. Yeah, all those women out there are like, yeah, fuck homework. Dude, if you want to listen to the efficacy of studies on homework, if they have good home lives, homework is usually beneficial. And if they don't, it's bad. That's pretty much where it exists. Too much homework is always bad, like the workload is bad. But it's not bad to have engaged yourself in a, like projects for school or something. The bad things are like the fucking worksheets, okay? Any kind of homework should be something that can't just be done in a linear fashion in a school class or in a schoolroom. But like, this guy doesn't want to have a nuanced conversation about education standards or learning modalities or efficacy in the classroom or equity among students or trying to maintain a particular balance in the classroom between education, entertainment, time spent, attention keeping, and and synthesis of information. But I went to school for that though.
Job that sucks ass, working for 10 hours a day.
It does suck to work 10 hours a day. I wonder why a capitalist system would enforce such a thing.
Coming home exhausted after listening to your shitty, stupid, dumbass boss. Having no time for yourself. These are all things that are better than having kids. You see, people they're gonna hear me being like, oh, you think women should just be at home having kids? What do you mean just? What do you mean just? You're just going to work. Being at home raising kids, that's the real heroic work. That's like the real shit. That's the real deal.
Okay, so we're gonna try to pivot into, actually, I'm a feminist. I agree, raising children is work. It's so heroic. Do it then! Be a hero. Make a baby out of your man pussy.
You think women should be in the kitchen? What do you think's in the kitchen? That's where you feed your hungry children, where you wash their dirty clothes. And in some cases, in some people's kitchens, this is where you sit up on the table and you help your child through their homework, help them achieve things, help them discover their sense of self-worth. All these things happen in the home from the perspective of a mother to a child. It's not just anything. You're not just a housewife. You're not just raising. That's all I'm doing, just raising.
Just a mother to a child. No man could possibly help with homework. No man could possibly raise to the standard of care of a one woman. Did you know that I don't have to be a woman to take interest in a child or their fucking education? Particularly if they're fucking mine, dude? Like, it's one thing. It's one thing to help educate a sibling or a relative, like a nephew or a cousin, but or a student even, or a friend's kid. But no, men can't teach their own kids anything. That's for sure.
When the hell did that lose value to women? To Western women? Because things like that still have value to the entire planet. We need to reframe this. I mean, red pill dudes out there like myself and various others, they know this. They know the value of raising children. They know that this is the most important thing in the world. They know this is why Western civilizations bounced back after World War I and II, because of traditional values, because the birth rate was above maintenance. We need to change how we think about this. You're not shackled at home raising children, not realizing your real potential.
We can talk about why World War II bounce back happened for some Western nations. Imperial destabilization of other nations and then taking their stuff, pretty much.
You're influencing the next generation of adults by raising children. In fact, how good that child grows up to be, how successful and well-adjusted this child becomes as an adult, is going to be the greatest achievement of the mother and the father who worked for this to be the result. And it's this kind of greatness, this kind of value of motherhood that has been
The greatest achievement you can have is your child being able to vicariously achieve the things you couldn't. Win.
Destroyed and replaced with a woman's value is how useful she is to a corporation.
What if a woman's value is to, and not determined by a man's prospects on it? What if women's value lives outside of their capability of making children or being workers or anything? What if the value is inherent in existence and seeking joy and happiness and self-fulfillment, which may or may not include having lots and lots of kids? Who knows? There's lots of people who would love to be parents.
Yeah, you're entirely replaceable. Men already knew this. We don't care. We have a responsibility. Men work at, the factory or whatever.
You don't work in a factory, dumbass.
Cubicle jobs, waste management, power management, construction, bricklaying, surveying. All these really shitty jobs that suck ass that are very difficult. That's our responsibility.
That's our responsibility. So you're stolen valor for a guy on a construction crew. This guy has never lifted his finger in his life. He's not had these jobs. He's been an internet goth for as long as he can try. This is all he's been doing. He's been doing like little band gigs and trying to get by on that.
And we know that we're replaceable, but that's our burden to bear, such as responsibility. They are burdens that we have to bear. We are responsible. And young men are being destroyed because young men, or men in general, know this.
I love that he hates capitalism and also has no solution for it. This sucks and we have to. Women never have to do any jobs that suck. That's never been true. All they have to do is make babies. We'll take care of the rest, ladies. What will he take care of? None of that, actually. He's going to steal your makeup and your shoes.
They've always been responsible for asserting this. They were always the authority that stood in the way of degeneracy.
Degeneracy? Dog. You can't use the word degeneracy. Look at yourself. You are degenerate to them. You're 100% degenerate to them. Your self-expression well exceeds their personal litmus test on degeneracy. Like, you're not one of them. You're exactly the same as anybody else who dances for the fucking right wing for their little grift money. It's the same as ever.
Made sure that the society existed and continued the way that it should in order to survive. Now the whole thing's been disrupted. And now it's being disrupted from the school level. Young boys. The UK government are...
Dude, this guy has said young boys more than any other phrase in this fucking video. That's so weird.
Specifically trying to get young boys. They're trying to manipulate them and choke out any sense of masculinity, confidence. Mothers out
there. Dude, what this guy loves more than anything is a young boy with lots of masculinity.
They're watching this. Are you okay? Would you be okay with this? Your precious boy?
Precious boy. Ugh.
Your happy little boy who giggles and smiles.
Ew! Dude, you're so weird about little boys. You're weird about little boys.
Whose nativities you go to, school plays, get his feet measured, get his new shoes. Whose
get his feet measured? What the fuck?
Lit up on Christmas morning.
What the fuck?
Is he a f***ing monster?
He might be. Who knows? Gotta measure his feet to make sure.
Is he? Your innocent little boy who's done nothing to anybody? Who you would have thrown yourself in front of traffic to protect?
How does throwing yourself in front of traffic protect your kid?
You're gonna let the government tell this precious little boy that he's a f***ing monster and that he's gonna hurt people? You wanna see his smile disappear?
Does he have the same opinion about that Macaulay Culkin movie? It's like The Good Son or something like that. I think that's what it's called. Where he's just like a murderous little freak and he like kills a dog or he like lights shit on fire and he fucking kills people. I think it's like that. That was very offensive. I couldn't. Yeah. After that happened, I was like, man, I can't be a good guy, and I became evil Macaulay Culkin too. Home Alone is the prequel to The Good Son.
You want to see anxiety and guilt take over where happiness used to be? Not on my watch.
Not on my watch, and he's watching through his goth contact lenses, which don't provide the best clarity, but they are fashionable.
Not on my watch.
Dude, no one else has ever finished that video. We are the first people to ever finish that video. Give yourself a round of applause. Good job, everybody. We are the first people to finish that video, and that's true. All right, there's a very low chance I watch another one of his videos unless he says something interesting. Holy shit. Wow. I already forgot his name. Goth boy, McRacist, wants to blame everybody else but men for their own problems, I suppose. Not surprised. Scapegoating as ever. Pretty sad. Right-wing men are pointless. They have nothing to say.